I'm Amy Beth, and we are here with Health and Bliss for Life to talk about something we are really excited and passionate about, which is the evolution of medicine. The shift in paradigm from a typically reactive field to a more proactive field. So this is my husband, Dr. Alan Hopkins, and I'd like to ask him if he can tell us where this is happening in the field of medicine today.
Yeah, so there's lots of areas this is happening. Doctors are bucking the traditional model, and there's a reason for this. We're on course right now to have 95% of the population overweight or obese by the year 2050, with 35% of us with diabetes. Literally 1 in 3 people have diabetes, so all U.S. adults. That's crazy, because we know diabetes comes with increased risk of strokes and heart attacks and cancers, right? So doctors are going out there and they're being more proactive and looking into preventative medicine. So some of the things you might have heard of is preventive medicine, integrative medicine, anti-aging medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine. These are all different areas of medicine that are used quite extensively for preventative purposes.
So what are some of the ways that this new proactive medicine can really optimize how we live and how we age?
Yeah, so by assessing each person's individual genetics, we can really tell you kind of where you came from and where you're likely going. Now, 80% of where we're going is actually determined by our lifestyle. How we eat, how we exercise, how we take care of our mind, body, and spirit. Yeah. So just because, your parents, had all these horrible diseases doesn't necessarily mean you need to get them. You can dramatically change the trajectory of your life.
So I know one of the things you do is you look at biomarkers, and a lot of you out there may have the same kind of question that I do is, what is a biomarker, and why do we need to know about them?
So biomarkers are just, to break down the word, they're ways we mark your biology. So it's actually looking at an individual's biology. Another way of looking at it is there's lab tests. And I'm not talking about, sort of the traditional lab tests you might be used to. I'm talking about advanced testing that's done, looking at things that insurance companies, don't think are important or whatever. They just refuse to pay for them. And so, a lot of doctors never really get a chance to learn about them or to utilize them in practice.
So why do I need to know about them? What can they do for me?
Well, each individual person has a unique set of biomarkers, and it's not just a matter of looking at one biomarker, it's actually looking at them grouped together, because each one affects the other, and so they generally tell a story about it, where a person's been and where they're going. The great thing about biomarkers is they give you a baseline, and as you monitor that baseline, you can go in there and change, some of the lifestyle and do some great things, and you can turn around and you kind of see if you improved your baseline. So we all can make improvements, even you. When you got your advanced biomarkers checked, we found some things. We found that her iron was low. We found that her adrenal glands were terrible. And that kind of explained why she was crashing in the afternoon and she just didn't have any energy. So just by replacing some of those key things, we're able to actually really help her. And that helped me and helped their family and helped their kids. So it's a really good thing.
Yeah, so really being able to up-level or fine-tune your health routine is something that can come out of having the biomarker testing. When you really see those numbers on paper, I consider myself an optimizer. So, I had a healthy diet, I thought, which was by and large true, but I was just missing some key nutrients that when I added those in, it really did shift my ability to show up in the world every day. I mean, when you're not tired at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it is a huge contribution to your family. Because at that time I would come home and I was just spent, exhausted, and really didn't know exactly what to do to change it. So I've personally found that the biomarker testing can be a great adjunct to your road to wellness or your health journey. It certainly has been for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. So when we look at our life as a whole, what are the components or the pillars of healthy living that we could or should tend to?
All right,
Dr. Hopkins.
All right,
Dr.
thank you.
Hopkins.
All right. So I tend to look at this starting with the heart. if we start with our heart, we're able to get in touch with those we care about. And in a spiritual sense, why are we here? What's our purpose here? Those type of things. Relationships are so important. And this is why, married couples live longer. It's just a fact of life. And also people that are satisfied in their interpersonal relationships just simply live longer. So starting with our heart, making sure our heart is right is very important. The next is, looking at our mind. How is our mindset? What's our motivation? Are we truly committed to our health? Do we really think it's important, or would we rather, watch the news and, would we rather get distracted by this or that? So the idea is...
So easy to get distracted.
I'm distracted all the time. I mean, I'm actually distracted right now. But let's try to stay focused. So getting the mind right is really important. And then, of course, comes the body. And, our body is meant for movement. If we don't use our bodies, we tend to lose our bodies. So it's really important to do a functional movement assessment. What can you do? What's your baseline? And how can you possibly make that better? Particularly as we age and our bones start, our joints start to ache, and it just gets harder and harder for us as we get older, unless we make it a routine, a normal part of our life. And then the other and the last aspect, of course, is our mouth. What do we put into our bodies?
Nutrition.
Nutrition is the foundation of really our health. And so we have to have a very solid foundation. We talk a lot about nutrition on this website. It's really important for each of us to understand that nutrition is absolutely key. What we eat really does make a difference.
So wishing everybody health and bliss is really what this website is about, to give you really solid information with scientific backing on how to up-level your health with both science and soul. We're so happy you joined us today. Tune in for more. Thanks. Bye.